good evening and welcome to MRL Season 6. For some reason the circuit intro decided not to work, so here you go with the calendar straight away. Welcome to the Misfits Racing League, the 6th season. This is Tier 2 live from the United States of the America, although it's technically just the virtual version of the USA, of course. My name is Frostbreath and we are getting ourselves ready for another epic race here in Tier 2. As it stands currently, the standings for these 20 drivers are as follows. We have Wisp quite comfortably, in fact, leading the Drivers' Championship with 63 points over Polypunk's 37. Now, of course, Polypunk and Wisp will be driving again tonight. And the big question that you can vote on now with channel points right now in the chat is, will Wisp take back-to-back poles? And another important question, can he make it 3 wins in a row, as he won in both Australia and in Imola? So that's some epic results for him there, and that's all the reason why this man is now leading the driver standings, despite having a DNF in the first race. So that means 26 points behind him is then Polypunk, the Tier 4 of Season 5 champion, with 1 victory so far and 2 P7 in a row during the last 2 races, so not ideal for him. Slightly bit behind is Leclerc, with just 3 points fewer, and of course 1 point behind him is our Dutch friend Remco van Putten. However, he is still serving a race ban, which means we will not see him tonight. He is being replaced, though, by another pretty quick guy, Alexander Johansson. Also, I think, if I recall correctly, known as Alexander Jew from Tier 2 last season. Or was it Tier 3? No, Tier 3, I think, last season in the Red Bull. This time driving in an Alpine car as a reserve. Several other drivers have been replaced for tonight as well, as they couldn't make it. Let's have a little look there. We see Kane in the Mercedes. He is replacing Maka. And we see Eruption. No, hang on. Alexander Johansson was actually supposed to be in the AlphaTauri, but I think he's changed his mind. We now should have Eruption in the AlphaTauri, but I currently don't see him yet. So it looks like, no. Interesting. Eruption is not playing, I think, then, unless somebody else drops out, because both AlphaTauri drivers are actually in the lobby as we speak. Both This Is Reapy and Luda are in. So they will both be racing for their team tonight. So only 2 reserves then, as it stands at the moment. We only have 15 players in the lobby as of yet. So there's still several drivers missing. Who knows? Eruption might still join in with us soon. Anyway, the constructors, there we have Red Bull leading as well, thanks to a strong performance from both Wisp and his teammate Big Turbine, always there to back him up. Currently sitting in P6 in the drivers. Followed by Alpine, as both of their drivers are doing quite well too. Both are in the top 5 at the moment and fighting for the driver's title. Williams then in 3rd place at the moment, and followed by Aston Martin, who is the team that's doing a lot better in Tier 2 than it is in Tier 3, as that team only received their first point yesterday evening in the USA in Tier 3. Then in P5, it's AlphaTauri, followed by McLaren, Haas, Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, and then last but not least, hopefully, it's Mercedes, whose points solely come from Maka himself. We still have 3 drivers without a single point yet. Gian, Doni, and Luda are still completely without points. Das just being above them with a singular one. So that's how it stands at the moment, and we are now waiting for the lobby to fill up. It's been a while, especially for Tier 2, since I've commentated. If you've checked in yesterday, you already know what happened to me the last few weeks. A lot of things. It's been quite tense. It's been quite rough. But now I'm back, and hopefully I'm back for good. So let's see what tonight will bring us in terms of racing. Last night in the USA, we had a very exciting race for the lead with both cars in the top 2, top 3 in fact, and for a while even the top 4, all well within a second of one another. And a very patient fight going on between Archio and Ayub Khan for the race win. Eventually, Ayub Khan had one out. Also being helped by the fact that Archio got a penalty, which meant that PW Jones took P2 and Grenade Goran eventually took the final podium spot after a mighty recovery race, starting 11th on the grid. So that is where they stand at the moment. Some reports have come in after the race, of course. So the FIA will still have a little look at some of the incidents. Let me turn on the desktop audio, otherwise you'll soon hear a very silent stream of Formula 1 cars just floating by, which would make things not that exciting. So, I think the lobby is full. Yes, it is. And I am quite sure that people are going to be readying up now. Yes, they are. In fact, they've been just given the get-go from Gauzy. And as such, we should be underway momentarily. Let's, I'm actually hoping for some rain now. I really want to see some rain. I've missed a few races, especially in Tier 2, so I might have missed the rain as well. But I'd like to see some interesting mixed strategies. I'm hoping for a dry-wet or vice versa race. Those are always very good to watch. I'm getting myself comfortable in my chair. I'm ready to go, ready to roll. It's been a long day at work, but that doesn't stop me from commentating. Interestingly, if you look from P8 to P12 in the driver's standings, there's only 5 points in between all of those drivers. So it's very tight. And the store, of course, still it's only round 5, so there's still a load of points to be distributed. In fact, Luda could still become the drivers' champion with so many rounds remaining. We'll be going well into June, I believe, until we are done with the season. There's still 2 drivers waiting to confirm their so-called tire strategy. And then we shall be good to go. Very curious to see what happens here. We've seen, from the top of my head, a 1:31.4 last night for pole time in Tier 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 1:30, a high 1:30 at least, here in Tier 2. Let's see, the 1:31.42 something, I believe it was, from Ayub, where that would bring him in this group of quick drivers. They're all here then, all 20, along with 2 reserve drivers, as said. Both Kane and, of course, Alexander Johansson replacing 2 drivers. Good evening, Eruption. Welcome to the stream. Sorry you're not driving tonight. Looks like Luda was able to make it after all. But glad to see you're on the stream here, supporting the drivers from over there. The first one out is in fact the man that is standing in P1 on this list. It's Domi, the first one to exit the pit lane. I need to get my arrows under control. There we go. And of course, tires are always an interesting fact. I stated last night that I think that most drivers who are using medium tires are not necessarily trying to start on those tires, but are simply trying to save a set of softs for the race. We've seen that a 2-stop isn't a bad thing on this track. We've seen Grenade Goran succeeding with this type of strategy and finishing third after a safety car, and he would have definitely finished the top 5 despite starting 11th without a safety car. So yeah, I think it's mostly to save a tire. The 2-stop usually works with a soft medium or soft medium soft strategy. Either way, 2 red tires and 1 yellow tire are being used. So it seems the hard isn't necessarily a recommended tire here on this track, which isn't very surprising considering the twisty nature, and you'll need every bit of grip that you can get. Tire wear isn't as high as many people think, that many people does include myself. It's not too bad, not too bad. So then, the first two drivers are getting themselves ready to roll. Domi being the first, who will try and set a quick lap time. Of course, we'll soon switch our attention to the big man, Wisp, who's currently driving all the way to the start-finish line. And Polypunk as well, of course. These two drivers are the first to start, and surprisingly, Dark decides to stay relatively closely behind the McLaren. Which might give him a bit of dirt here, although let's have a look from his perspective for a little moment. Yeah, he's actually quite close. But the difference here being is that he is on the medium tires. So he will be a bit slower, but it looks like he's actually... there we go. Invalidation here. And I think I saw an invalidation here from Dark as well. So the first two drivers trying to set a hot lap have already invalidated their lap. So let's switch our attention then to Polypunk. The man chasing down Wisp for that driver's lead. Oh my goodness, that wasn't a particular great corner there. A bit too much understeer. But of course, for now, it looks like it is purple with a 25.173. It could have been better, but it looked like a bit of a moment there for the Alpine driver. So let's hope he can recover in sector 2 and 3. It is still only a banker lap, of course, this first attempt. He's to get used a bit to the track. Let's see what the temperatures on track are doing. Let's see what the car does, how it responds with several types of fuel load. While there is quite a queue ahead of this man, it's an Aston Martin waiting some drivers out. 1 minute 2.1. It's quite quick. Looking very good. Another yellow flag just ahead of him. More drivers there ahead, warming their tires. Psycho is the first to set a lap time at 31.968. The fastest for now. A 32.9. A second slower, that is, by Han, who's immediately getting overtaken by his teammate, and K now taking the lead with a 31.7. So let's see what Polypunk can do then as he comes onto the main straight. It is only a 32.190, so P3 for the time being. This is Reapy coming in with the medium tires in a 33.4. And the fastest medium man is Deekserve, in fact, with a 32.7, which is impressively fast for medium tires. His teammate, though, is going fastest overall with a 31.6. Already we are well within the 1 minute 31s. And we are going to see big improvements there, I'm sure. So let's switch to the driver championship leader, who has decided to go out on the medium tires for the first run. Most likely to save that predicted set of soft tires there. But let's see what he can do. Might also be a little test for himself to see how quick he can be on a harder compound of tires. And it looks like an impressive run there. Look at that, a 32.3. He's only 0.7 of a second away from professional pole at the moment. And he's well within the top 10. Of course, there's still 7 drivers having to set a lap time. As Doni Petarka, aka Doni, is now going fastest overall with 3/10 almost quicker than Gian was a few minutes ago. This man is now sitting in professional pole. Scratch that, his nearly name mate, so to say, Domi, is now the quickest with just 2/100ths of a second less on the time board than Doni has. It's going to be confusing once again to pronounce these two names, Domi and Doni. McLaren, Mercedes. So that's how it stands. Most people have done their first attempt already. Daz will still on his way. Let's see where he can put himself. Now he's going really wide. And this is not his attempt any longer. He's going back into the pit lane to have another go soon. So that means 4 drivers not having set a lap time, but they have been out already, including Kane here, getting himself ready for his hot lap. His teammate currently sitting P13 with a set of medium tires. I think he's already finished his attempt. Yes, he has, and he's invalidated this one. If he wants to do a back-to-back run, that will not work for him, for now at least. And then we have Alexander Johansson currently on outlap. Let's see what this man can do in this tier here. He was driving for tier 3 last season round and he did pretty well, so to say, I believe from the top of my head. It's hard to remember for some reason for me. He did not win the tier 3 championship. Either way, he is very, very quick. And he is a qualifying beast, just like Wisp is. But let's see how he can fare in a field with quicker drivers. So then, several drivers getting themselves ready for a second attempt for a lap time with 10 minutes remaining. There's still plenty of time to do so. Polypunk and Psycho among the first ones to have a go. Fraser also coming out in his Williams for a second attempt. And many other drivers following suit. Both Haas drivers have fallen down quite a bit since all of the other drivers have set a time. P10 and P12 at the moment for Aro and Han. So they will seek some improvement. Let's search for a driver who's currently on a hot lap. I believe it's only Kane and Alexander Johansson, as Kane is actually about to come through the final corner of the track here. And here we go into the main straight. It will be a 1 minute 32.2. It's only enough for P9 at the moment. And then there's another driver who's getting ready to set a lap time. Currently going over the long right-hander and into the final 2 corners. Let's see what this man can do. He's used to being at the front of the grid. He's not a permanent driver this season. And that's an invalidation. Would have been a 1 minute 31.9, which would have been enough for P8. Out qualifying his teammate in this race. But it wasn't to be. He ruined it at the very, very, very last opportunity to ruin a lap. So that is unfortunate for him. He's going to have to try again. And he's still without a lap time. As are both Aston Martins, in fact. The Clark currently on a hot lap attempt. He just started it. So let's stick around with this man for a little while. And see what he can do there. In Sector 1, it's a 24.9. It's pretty quick. Very good start to his lap. There's a slew of cars ahead of him, though. Let's hope they will move out of the way. Alexander Johansson for sure is. And let's switch back to another man who would like to try and get closer to that front row, or maybe even potential pole. He's getting a nice tow from his teammate there. Now this is teamwork, if I've ever seen any. Alexander Johansson helping out Polypunk on the main straight. It was a very nice tow. You for sure will have gained 1 or maybe even 2/10 of a second. And that means he's now 3/10 quicker than his previous attempt. That will put him right onto P6 if it were to finish now. And he would have still remained 3/10 of a second quicker. But of course the third sector will see some improvements around here as well. Into the final 2 corners he will go, as Yaya Sanogo now actually goes quickest overall with a 31.0. We've already beaten the pole time in tier 3 with Domi and Doni, and now Sanogo is going way over that as well. Polypunk then now slotting in a P5 with a 31.687. So a nice improvement for him there, getting himself much closer. Wisp, in the meanwhile, only sitting 12th at the moment, 3/10 quicker as we speak, which is not nearly enough for pole position, but let's see what he can do at the end of the second sector. That's the improvement only from Sector 1. Now we stand at a 7/10 improvement, which will bring him to a 1 minute 31.6. If my calculations are correct. But let's see what he can do then in the final sector, as he gets a bit of an oversteering moment there on the nasty and tricky left-hander. Personally, I find it a really tricky corner. But let's see if he can keep it together, going not as wide as I expected there, still well within the lines. Onto the final corner, the main straight, DRS open, across the line. It is not enough just yet, but a purple final sector sees him joining Sanogo on the front row for now, but of course there is still a third attempt. And the dream of a back-to-back pole position for this man in the Red Bull is very much still alive. As I say that, Domi gets P2 on the front row with a 31.1, and we are about to go into the 1 minute 30s. I think the pole time will be a 1 minute 30.9 or maybe even quicker. Yeah, it could potentially be a spicy battle indeed, but Domi has thrown his McLaren in between them. Which is of course really great for him. He's now sitting potentially on the front row. Gauzy betting that the pole time will be even quicker than a 1 minute 30.9. 30.7 even. Wow, okay. Let's see what happens. If the fastest tier 3 driver would be sitting on this timesheet right now, he would be sitting well in P5 at the moment. So most drivers having finished their attempt. Let's see here if Psycho is actually having another attempt here. Is he's getting... No, he's slowing down now. Looked for a moment as if he was still trying. But he is no longer trying to set a lap time here. He's just getting his McLaren back to the pit lane. Alexander still without a lap time. Getting himself ready for... There, wrong button. Getting himself ready for another attempt to get onto the timing sheets. Because starting in last is never a great thing, as Luda has already retired. I didn't see him see what happened there. Might have crashed out somewhere. Completely missed it, but he is definitely starting P19 at least. That's the best position he can hope for. Here he comes then. This time it has to be done, Alexander. Otherwise you will have very little time. In fact, no time left. This is the attempt that has to happen. There's only 3 minutes remaining in this session. And that means this run has to be perfect. For a moment there I thought he had a Red Bull on his inside, and it looked like he had there. As that was Big Turbina, but I don't think he was in the way. But let's see what his first sector time is. It is, as we speak, a 25.0, which is actually pretty quick. That's around the same time as Polypunk has done. But there you go, that's an invalidation. Quick recharge and try again. There's still a bit of time to go around the track and try on this set of tires. There's no more time to get a new set under. So he's gonna have to do it on this one. But this is not his day so far. Still without a time. And yeah, that means... he's definitely under very much pressure. Hi, I hope I pronounce your name right. Tiger Style. My name is Frostbreath. Yes, thank you, Gauzy, for confirming that. Look at that. The entire top 9 is now on an outlap, and Fraser is now already the first one in the top 10 on his hot lap. The others are still in their outlap. Sorry, I completely got that wrong. No, looky there. He slowed down. And I'll go round again. I think he got held up by traffic a little bit. It's really busy on the track at the moment. Almost everybody's out except for 4 drivers at the moment. As this is Reapy, is the last man to come out of the pit lane with very little time left. Here he is then, the man in provisional pole. So it's Tiger style. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've already asked Stryfium if he can make some graphics showing who's commentating what race. So you know who's at this moment mispronouncing names. There you go, a purple first sector for Sana Goat. Can he improve in his lap time and go into those famed 1 minute 30s? This is the man who can take a pole position from Wisp, preventing him from taking that famous back-to-back pole. Here he is then. He's just started his lap. Let's see what he can do. It's Sanagoat versus Wisp. Or might we see a surprise here from any of the other drivers such as Doni or Domi. Yes, my nickname is also Jinx Breath because I'm quite good at that. And I'm glad to see you're a fan again. Good. Who will come out on top? Let's hear it and let's see it. Oh, that's a nasty oversteering moment, but I think, yeah, that's his attempt given up. He wants to try again. He's not satisfied with what happened there. He didn't want that to happen, so he's gonna try again. He still has a little bit of time left, but there's a lot of cars coming up now, so he's gonna have to wait a little longer there. He's still letting the Alpine past, so this is costing time. Victor Bina has just passed him. Let's see what Wisp's teammate can do on the main straight there. He's improving to P5, a 1:31.460. And that means now Sanago is going for a second attempt. This must be the moment to strike. And we have Wisp, who's invalidated his lap, so no chance for him unless he makes it within 25 seconds back to the finish line. But he's got low battery, so I somewhat doubt that he will make it in time. And if he does, can he make it work with the little battery that he's got remaining? He is going for it. He's definitely going for it. With very little time left, he is going across the line with 40% battery remaining, more or less. Oh, dearie me. Can his battery last the distance as Polypon crosses the line? Ends in P8 for now. Deegserve finishes in P17. And Domi going fastest. And there is the 1:30. 1:30.952. Now Domi then fastest overall, at least for now. And Sanagoat having retired. Oh dear. Wisp being pushed to 4th place, at least for now. Having just finished the first sector. I might be right for now, but it's still this man, but his battery is now low. His battery is below 10%, which means it will produce less power. I'm afraid it's not going to be for Wisp. I'm very much afraid it will not happen for this man tonight. Is anybody else capable of getting a surprise in? He is 2/10 faster at the moment despite a dead battery there. He can still get his car on pole position. It's a purple second sector. Let's see then. In the final sector he goes, 14% battery remaining. It's all he's got. It's all the power he can rely on. So he needs a perfect third and final sector to get himself onto the front row or even that famed pole position. Let's see if he can prove the people who voted for his second pole in a row right. He's coming across the line. He does it! He does it by 12 milliseconds at a dead battery. He's managed to get his car on pole position, and that means the predictions, whoever predicted that he could do it, were right. This man leading this championship is once again leading away the field at the start of the race. Incredible run despite his empty battery there. Wow. Imagine what he could have done if his battery was still full. I think those 30.7s would have happened, Gauzy. But yeah, it looks like my prediction was somewhat right. Very close on battery. Wow. Like, I was very impressed. Alexander Johansson got himself into the timesheets in P10. And I think he'll be willing to help out his teammate as he's a reserve driver. And Polypunk is fighting for the driver's title, sitting in P2 at the moment in the Drivers' Championship. So, exciting times ahead. Very exciting times. It's going to be tough. We see 3 very feisty drivers on the front of the grid with Wisp, Domi and Sanagoat. Yeah, let's see what the first lap brings. And tier 3, it brought a virtual safety car. So then, 12 milliseconds separates the top 2. That's absolutely insane. 12 milliseconds. Let that sink in for a moment. The rest of the grid, of course, looks as follows. Alexander Johansson finishing off the top 10 in style. Fraser just behind him, followed by Repi, Kane, Leclerc, Auro, Daz, Deegserve, Haan, Dark and Luda starting from the rear. I think he could have been gone a lot faster had he had a chance on the soft tires and some extra attempts. So that concludes qualifying. Getting ourselves ready for a potentially really exciting race. And as I said before, last night was very exciting for the lead. There were very patient drivers there in front. 3 of the 4 at least were. Pixon broke a bit too late, a bit too many times. spun himself out and threw himself out of contention and of a potential podium or maybe even a win. Pieface. I've certainly heard the name. But for some reason I cannot figure out where I've heard the name or if I've seen him or not. But please elaborate, because I'm curious now. Unless it's some sort of thing that I was supposed to know. I'm terrible. Ah. So that's Pieface. I see. Okay, yeah, I guess. Tire strategy. I was going to talk about that. Let's see what they've done. No hard tires this time round. Legend of the game, I see. There's only 5 drivers starting on the medium tire. Interesting. We've learned from last night as well that a 1-stop is definitely possible, but not necessarily that much quicker than a 2-stop. As a 2-stop in this race means that you will have 2 sets of soft tires to use, which usually makes you quite quick, but you'll have to stop a bit earlier than you would be used to. Of course, safety cars could still change every single thing. If it comes out really early, we might still see some people change to the hard tires. This is what the game thinks will happen. That first one is looking quite possible, but the second one, soft to hard, is absolutely ridiculous. I hope nobody will do that, as we have a McLaren hanging around the back. It's Psycho, who's having a bit of trouble getting himself going for some reason. So that means he'll be given the hurry up. Let's have a good first lap. Yes, that's something I'd like to see as well. No safety car or virtual safety car, please. Although, you guys know me, I've probably jinxed it already. So let's see. Yes, Fraser does have the OP starting spot. Grenade Goran had that spot as well last night, and it brought him up to P3. So let's see if Fraser can do the same in his Williams. He's also starting on the medium tires, like Grenade Goran did in his Haas. So that's definitely promising. Here they all come then, round the final 2 bends, getting their car ready. Oh, the game's decided to change pit stop strategies. They now also suggest a 1-stop. Of course, that's possible, but I still don't recommend the hard tires. I've seen them barely being used. Only after lap 1 incidents they were getting put under the cars of those who had to pit at lap 1. So they could finish the race in 1 stop. There's Psycho then, driving through the other cars to get his car onto the correct grid slot in P7. And as soon as he's ready, the lights will start to go on, and then of course they will be going off. Let's quickly, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we will be on our way right now. Looks like an excellent start for Wisp, a great start for Domi, but an even better start for Johansson Goat as he's trying to go side by side with Domi into turn 1. Looks like both Mercedes having a bit of a kerfuffle there, and Big Turbina then trying to slot in between all of those cars, trying to gain positions, and we have a yellow flag already in the back of the grid. We have already got a retirement and absolute chaos between several cars there, and it is a virtual safety car just like it happened in tier 3. We already see several front wings being smashed, and Dark already after 1 corner of racing, they are out of this race. The field though now forced to calm down a little bit, and we see Donny here, who looked like he had a P4 or P5 slot after the race start, fallen down quite a bit. He's now hanging around in P15. So that is the worst possible news for this man. And look at that, there is Daz with his broken front wing. So he'll have to head back to the pit lane. And he might be one of those drivers I was talking about who will switch to the hard tires. In the meanwhile though, Kane moving up to 3rd as Sanagod has lost a position. Let's see that position gain things. Kane in fact has gained 3 positions since the race start. So that's great news for him. Not as great news for his teammate though, as I think Mercedes would have loved a big haul of points since they only are standing last with constructors, and Kane, being a reserve driver, will not get his points added to that Mercedes tally. Now that the race continues though, immediately Kane decides to strike. Arrows falling over down several places already. He must have been a bit asleep, and he got a bit of a nudge there from the other Alpine driver, Alexander Johansson, who has to go massively wide in order to avoid any more contact there. Immediately quite some aggressive driving from these three drivers in the rear. Fighting for those final few points as several drivers are heading into the pit lane. Leclerc, Luda and Daz having a bit of an issue there as Laro tries to make a lunge into the inside of Polypunk, trying to snatch the position from him, but so far it looks like, well, actually he managed to succeed. There he goes. Polypunk has to back out for a little bit. He's already telling the Haas to hurry up, just pushing the man through the snaky section here. Wow. He's definitely not waiting to stay behind the Haas for long over there. As in the meanwhile, Kane is starting to close up to Domi and try to snatch the second place. But Sanogood, of course, not willing to give up his podium position that quickly. Psycho, though, telling him to hurry up, otherwise he'll have a go on him as well. Aro immediately going defensive onto the back straight as Polypunk is knocking on his door, or his rear in fact, trying to get past there. He's trying to follow the Ferrari, and he's actually trying to make a move on the Ferrari. Kane Gigfan getting caught off guard there by the Haas driver, who's overtaking him now and takes P8. Aro is on a roll. He's made 7 places since 2 laps ago. This man is absolutely flying. He wants to make up as many positions as he can after starting on the soft tires on P15, but look at this. He's moved up so many places already. His teammate can take a bit of an example from that. He's still hanging around in P16, and despite that being 2 places better than he started, it's not as great as his teammate Aro has done. Wisp then taking the fastest lap. Domi still within DRS range, but he's starting to lose the connection to the Red Bull driver. Wisp's nearest rival, Polypunk, still hanging around in P10. He's having a little look at the Ferrari as DRS is now officially enabled. So there's that then, and we see a bit of a kerfuffle here between Deeksurf and Doni. Doni, the man who's lost 10 or 9 position, depending on where he is at the moment, is now back up to P13 because he's got much more ground to cover if he wants to return to the points, and he'll have to hope for a miracle or a great strategy or maybe even a pit stop to get back close to the podiums. And Polypunk just had about enough of the Ferrari. He decides to move on, and the Ferrari of Kane has fallen down 4 positions and now well outside of the points, immediately being hunted down by the Mercedes of Doni, as Haan has got a little bit of an accident in turn 1 just at the exit of the pit lane there. Not a great day for him this time round, falling down the order behind both Aston Martins. Look at the guys having a look and a go at one another. So far, though, everybody's holding position. But look at this. It's so close. No, never mind. Doni is definitely telling everybody he doesn't appreciate being pushed back down to the grid. He's going to go at the inside of Kane, snatching 12th place from him. However, the Ferrari will have the inside line in the next corner. And immediately, Deeksurf decides to join in the fun as well. He's like, oh, you're fighting. Let me have a go as well, please. But it looks like, for now, the Mercedes and the quicker tires at least will have the job covered. Let's switch back to those tires and see how old they all are. Of course, they're all still pretty young and pretty fresh, those tires are. Domi back in the offense. He's gaining and gaining on Wisp. And that means the Red Bull man is still very much under pressure. And I think Psycho is struggling to remain with the top 4, while being chased down by Big Turbina, who is just outside of DRS range as we speak, trying to stay with them as well. He's got Gian right behind him, fighting for P6 over there. And then there's a bit of a gap to Aro, who's still fighting with both Alpines and Fraser, and several other drivers all the way down to Deeksurf for P8. Can Gian have a go here on Big Turbina? He's thinking about it, Big Turbina defending the outside, and look in the just behind there, Polypunk is now having a move on Aro. He's getting that position back. He is showing why he's currently second in the driver's standings, but Aro's not giving up that easily. He's trying to go around the outside. He will have the inside for the next corner, and I'm quite sure, yes, he will make a move. Polly is trying to do the switch back here, but he's not succeeding yet. His teammate, his reserve teammate there, is hanging back for now as Donny snatches another position, goes back into P11. This man is driving a very nice recovery drive after his disastrous start in the first few corners. No damage, fortunately for him, to his car, which means he can still race at full speed. Look at this, cars side by side with one another, and Polypunk and Aro not giving one another an inch. Both of them want to have P8, and now this Alexander decides to mingle himself within that fight as well. So now it's a 3-car fight for P8, and it looks like Donny is actually making it a 4-way fight for P8. These cars are going left, right, center to get themselves in front of the other as soon as they possibly can. And personally, I think out of these 4, Donny has the biggest pace here, as he's already passed Aro in a place where you wouldn't usually expect it. He's now within the points, and that means, yes, as I said, I think he's got the most pace. Fraser now getting involved into this fight as well. He's really close behind Aro right now. Will he have a go before DRS even happens? Because he'll have it regardless. No, not yet. He's waiting patiently, but it is going to be a hard time there for Aro to keep the Williams behind unless he's using a lot of his battery. There we go then, all weaving, going left, right, and it looks like they're all defending their positions hard. Alexander trying to stay with his teammate there. Looks like he's actually supporting him quite well there, keeping the others behind, as we have a yellow flag now. Han crashing out on the main straight at the start-finish line pretty much, and that's his race over for tonight. Absolute disaster there for the other Dutch driver in this league. No safety car, the legend, but we did have a virtual safety car, as we saw Alexander Johansson making a bit of an interesting drift, from Mara's perspective at least. And we have the first pit stop by Big Turbina. He is definitely doing a 2-stop there, as he thinks his tires are no longer up to the job of defending. So that means many drivers will gain a position here. And it looks like, at least for now, this fight is coming to a tiny break. Kane having a bit of a look at the left rear of Fraser's Williams. But no move just yet. But Fraser is getting impatient with the Haas ahead of him. Aro really wants those points for the team. He's the only driver left of the Haas duo. So he's the man who has to score the points. But unfortunately for him, he's got a penalty, like Deekserve has as well. So that will make his race just that bit more complicated. Of course, it's still early. And there we go, Fraser go with a dive bomb onto the main straight. But that makes the exit quite terrible, which means Aro will have more speed. Both of them are having DRS. Well, I, for some reason, decide to tone down the volume on my headset. Sorry if that affected your listening experience as well. He is for now ahead of the Haas, but it looks like he made a bit of a mistake there, gone really wide, and that allows Aro another move around the outside, in fact, over here at the end of Sector 2, giving him a bit of a touch there, letting him know he's there. Fraser trying with the switchback, doesn't work. That allows Kane for a bit of an opening there, but he couldn't get that move done. He was just a bit too far behind. But it looks like a mighty fight here for what is technically 1 point. As Donny, Alexander and Polypunk are getting away from this hot-headed group of drivers who'd like to get into the top 10. No DRS for Aro means he's very vulnerable now from an attack of Fraser, who is moving into attack mode. And there he is then, past him once again into 10th place. It looks like the mediums are starting to come to life compared to the soft tires, and that Aro will be in a bit of trouble soon. He is still trying everything though. Fighting hard to keep his position, but let's turn on the telemetry and see that his battery, I saw his light flashing, is indeed nearly dead. So he's attacked and defended very hard, but it's going to be a problem now that his battery is low. Kane's battery, and especially Deekser's battery, are still very much fine. So he's the only one with a low battery. He's tried everything to keep his position, but this time he's going to be super vulnerable. He's going to have to fight hard to keep this position. Just a bit ahead of him It looks like Donny wants to have another go to get even more points back that he lost after the race start. He's already in 9th place, so doing quite well. And in the meanwhile, the lead of the race, I've been keeping an eye on the mini-map to make sure I wasn't missing any fight. Because we want to see this most of all, of course, when the fight starts to happen. But it looks like, just like Tier 3, it seems all these 4 drivers are being... It's like a repeat of last night. The top 4 being very patient. We now see Psycho entering the pit lane, as well as Donny, interestingly. The man who wanted to claw back as many positions is now going for an aggressive undercut on all the drivers he was fighting with. He's going for the medium tires. Don't think he will make them last until the end, as we has Gian retiring from the race. He's crashed out. Oh no. He was doing quite well, in fact. Let's see if we can find his car somewhere. He is over there. I think he's bounced into the wall and back onto the grass. So that's the 3rd retirement of the race. He was fighting with, well, no longer with Big Turbina, as he's already been in the pit lane. But that's definitely not good news for him. That allows Polypunk now to go into 5th place. And that's Gian out. Sorry, colors. Back to the front. Domi is getting himself ready for an attack. Wisp is not able to get away from these other 3 drivers. He's fighting his life for its worth. It's like he has to drive really hard, I think, right now. He's doing everything he can to stay ahead of these guys as long as he possibly can. As we have another yellow flag. That's oh dear me. Something has happened. These feisty drivers, I think, have come together. Kane was going a bit slow. I think I saw Deegsurf going a bit slow as well. We see some drivers moving up and down the places here. But these guys definitely... Oh, my goodness precious. He's going left where he should turn right. I think they've had to come together. As we see 3 drivers in the top 4 now pitting. Only Kane stays out. Wisp, Domi and Sanogoat coming in then. As well as Polypunk joining them into the pit lane. 3 drivers came in. And it looks like all 3 of them have switched to a fresh set of medium tires. Will they make it last to the end? Or will they go for a second stop? That's the big question. Can they make it last, make these tires last 19 laps? That's the thing I'd like to know. They are just coming out just behind this heated up fight between these drivers. Not sure how happy they'll be with that. That might cost them a lot of valuable time, because Arrow is still fighting all of these medium tire drivers around him. I'm trying to find a nice analogy for this fight, but I can't think of one at the moment. But Kane, it looks like he's finally got the job done. He's getting Arrow quite far away now, and the soft tires are really struggling at the moment. And look at that. Wisp decides to waste no time on these drivers. He's like, I'm going past. This is not my race. Get away from me. And Dobby, of course, would like to do the same. He needs to stay with Wisp if he wants to have any shot at winning the race, and he's not able to do so. It's still Reapy and Arrow ahead of him, in between himself and the potential race leader, but we have contact then between Arrow and Reapy, or at least I think it's both of these drivers, as they're now slowing down. Reapy having front wing damage, Arrow moving down a few positions as well. That allows these 3 drivers to go further ahead, and Psycho has now joined the fight for the win as well. Kane is still going route. I think he's definitely going for a 1-stop, as he's going long with his old soft tires. Kane going very defensive. He wants Wisp to stay behind for a while. Reapy and Arrow then going into the pit. Alexander Johansson in the pit lane as well. And Wisp really wants to go past this Ferrari over here, as Domi is watching his every move. Sanogoat ahead of Psycho at the moment. Big Turbina 3.4 seconds behind them. On slightly older tires. He stopped quite early. So, yeah, let's see what happens here. Another yellow flag, as Daz and Leclerc have retired, both of them in the pit lane. Oh, goodness me! That was a massive braking error then from Psycho. And thankfully, Sanogoat wasn't a victim of that, but he's definitely taken himself out of contention for the race win there. We saw it happen. Suddenly, a nose of the McLaren appeared, and now he's immediately under pressure from Big Turbina, who's like, oh, thank you very much, I'll happily take that position. Kane is now having a tussle there with Domi, who's passed now. Wisp is now passed, and Sanogoat is still stuck behind the Ferrari. I'm quite sure he would like to have a quick move past Kane to stay within that race-winning fight. You will have to hope that Kane doesn't defend as hard anymore. He is defending quite a bit. Of course, that's his right, because, you know, this isn't a blue flag situation. He can fight as hard as he likes for this position. And he's doing so, but the extra grip from the fresher tires of Jelle Sanogoat allow him to close up, and he's for sure going to make the move down the inside. There you go, into turn 1. Kane is not defending as hard as he anymore, and that allows the Williams driver to get past. He's still within a second of Domi. That'll still allow him to have DRS, so that is good news for him. So that means then only 4 drivers haven't pitted yet, and that would be Kane, Fraser, Deegserve and Kane. Still on 10-lap old tires. And interestingly, Kane is still driving around on soft tires. He's going long, and he's for sure going for that one stop. He's in a lonely first place for now. There they are then. The technical top 3 of the race. Fighting it out for P4 as we speak. Of course, the 3 cars ahead of them still have to pit, as we have a Big Turbina. Whoa, dearie me, Psycho having a massive lunge on the inside. I'm glad we caught that one on camera. He tried to take, Big Turbina tried to take Psycho there on the outside, but Big Turbina is having, Psycho is having none of that. And moving back on the inside quite aggressively, nearly plowing his car off the track onto the runoff area. And that allows him to remain in P8 still. And there we are then, the current race leader into the pit lane. And that allows Fraser to move into the lead, Deegserve behind, and Sanogoat setting the fastest lap of the race. He's really going to go for it now. The game of patience has started once again. Of course, now this is interesting. His teammate is just up the road. Will Fraser help out Sanogoat and hold up Wisp and Domi? Of course, he's still fighting for his position with Deegserve, but once Wisp and Domi are both passed, which is bound to happen soon, as they are both well within a second of the Alfa Romeo, we can potentially see some teamwork in the Williams team. I wonder though if Fraser is aware of that. He's still outside DRS range of Deegserve at the moment, and Wisp is closing in and closing in and closing in. Domi is just behind them, and Sanogoat's got, well, he's still got DRS, but he is well outside of the range right now. Probably made a bit of an error coming into the back straight, having a bad exit, but he's already closing in again. Here he is then, the other Williams driver. His teammate is only about 3 seconds down the road on fresher tires. There he is. What will happen here? I'm quite sure that all of those medium tire drivers will keep going for a while. Almost positive now that they'll try to go for the one stop, as Big Turbina gets a 3-second time penalty. That's unfortunate for him. And there we go then, Wisp's move on Deegserve into turn 1. Now let's see what Fraser will do. And oh my, Domi is like, I'm gonna have a go as well, please. But Deegserve is having none of that. He's like, you're too late, I've closed the door now, please try again later. And knock on my door when the time is right. Which will allow Sanogoat to close the gap again. I think he's struggling a little bit here, this man, to stay with Domi and Wisp. And now the Red Bull is right on the rear of Fraser. What will he do? Will he hold him up? Will he defend this position to get his teammate closer to him? As Domi has now passed Deegserve back into the podium places. Sanogoat will have and try and do the same. He'll have to be quick if he wants his teammate to help him out. Deeksurf is trying to come back. Sanagoat is not able to pass just yet. In the background, we see Kane and Kane having a bit of a fight there. Kane still going with those old tires, and Kane, after his likely one and only pit stop, is now only 4 seconds behind the lead group. So there might still be hope for him for a race win if he manages to keep the pace. And Fraser has now been taken by Wisp. He was not able to hold position for long over there. And that means he's now lost the lead to Wisp. He's back in lead of the race, this man is. And Domi really wants to have a go there. He's moving out of the way quickly then for his teammate as soon as he saw that Domi was getting past Fraser, going in for his first pit stop. Quite early. I think he's going to go for a 2-stop then. Most likely. There we go. Sanagoat getting past Deeksurf as well. And the Alfa Romeo driver knows it. He will not defend that position very hard. Kane has gained a second due to all of this fighting going on. You can just about see the car of Deeksurf driving a bit further up the road. Still pretty much in the fight for the win. Polypunk getting then another 3-second penalty. Then he's another one of those drivers getting an extra 3 seconds added to his race time at the end. And Kane is flying. Back to the lead of the race. It's once again the same 3 cars that we saw at the first half of the race, with Deeksurf in between at the moment and Kane in the background coming ever so closer, or at least he hopes he can, because he's lost a bit of time due to the DRSs that these cars are having on the back straight. He will now of course gain that time again in the curvy bit of the track. Aro in the meanwhile, very far behind the rest of the field. Fighting for some points earlier on, but of course the fighting turned into some damage, I'm afraid. And he's now running 15th and last. Here we go, now looks like a better exit for Sanago than it was for Domi. But he's not close enough just yet. And there we go, Deeksurf is headed into the pit lane, and Kane is now going to try and close the gap. It's a 3.3 seconds at the moment to the car ahead. That's 3.3 seconds for 3rd place. And then of course all those cars are pretty much close enough as Kane, with his older tires, doesn't want to let Psycho pass. This man is still defending as much as he can, and that's a dangerous place to defend. These cars are going to have to be careful, especially Psycho wants to keep his car in one piece as he knows he's already made a stop. Kane still hasn't made the stop. He's the last driver without a pit stop to his name. And that forces Psycho into a penalty this fight, and he will not be pleased with that one, of course. I don't think Kine's to blame for that one, as he's, as I said earlier, got all the right to defend. He's going all the way to the left of the track. He really, really doesn't want this McLaren to get past, but I'm afraid he's got no choice for this matter, as now Psycho is able to move well, and he's showing, look at that, he's aggressively moving to the right. He's like, man, I did not appreciate that. Just go away, go to the pit lane. Keep your Ferrari behind me, please. I think I'm quite sure the Psycho made a statement there. Showing his discontent with Kine's defending here tonight. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. Kine can do it as he likes. And there was nothing dirty about it. But Psycho is driving another race than Kine is. And there he is then into the pit lane after defending his position fiercely and bravely. In the meanwhile, the man who's had some bad luck, Tony, still is already up into P7, so it's going quite well for him now. Oh my goodness, as I say that! Wow, that has to be the worst jinx ever. Oh my goodness. I say he's doing well and then he immediately loses control of his car. How is that even possible? Wow, okay. Well, he's lost connection to a big turbina now. Let's see if he can close the gap again. I'm quite sure he'd like to get some more points. The 3.2 seconds of Kane have been reduced to 2.6 seconds now. The top 3 in the meanwhile are still just driving behind one another. There still hasn't been a proper fight. I don't think any car wants to be the first car here. And to me it looks like I don't know. I feel like both Domi and especially Sanagot, looking at his battery, are sandbagging a little bit. And they'll try, either of them will try and make a move later down the race. There's still 13 laps remaining, of course, with this one included. So that's pretty much 12 laps there. But if they are not careful, they'll have another car joining in the fight with the Mercedes of Kane. Domi, every now and then, getting out of the slipstream of Wisp and trying to break the slipstream of Sanagot behind him. With all of these DRSs happening, it always means that Kane will lose a bit of time on the straights, and it does gain quite a bit. It's now 2.5 seconds. It was 2.6 last lap, so he's slowly gaining. But if he only gains 1/10 per lap, it will definitely not be enough. We'll have to gain a bit more. That's 2.2 seconds now. It's quickly going down in these corners. He's very fast in the first sector, it seems. And he's very much ready to get into the fight. Neither of these four drivers have a time penalty to their name just yet. So it's definitely a fight on track for the win. And meanwhile, the battle of patience in the front of at the head of the race continues. I would like to see some predictions to see which of these guys you think will win the race. Will it be Wisp, Domi, Sanagot, or will we see a surprise from Kane, who is slowly getting closer to this group? Or maybe we'll see a safety car and everything will get thrown around. You never really know. It's always interesting to see what happens. We have a fight between Kane and Fraser. We've seen these two fight before, and Kane especially is feisty tonight. He doesn't want to give away any position, despite his tires being old, for example. And Fraser is now the one having to deal with this fighting style of this red painted car. That is the Ferrari of Kane. But Kane does have a slightly fresher set of tires, so he does have a bit of an advantage here, at least. But Fraser is well capable of keeping up. And in terms of battery, he's also doing slightly better. And look at that, Kane immediately very defensive, going to the inside of the track. But Fraser is nowhere near close enough to make a move on the Ferrari just yet. So they have to stick behind him for now. Oh dear, the race leader's got 3 seconds penalty. That means right now we'll see Domi winning the race and Sanagot coming home second. And if my maths are correct, oh dear, I think we might see the first attack here. Domi having a bit of a strange moment there. I'm not entirely sure what happened. It might have been lag, but it almost looked like he was going defensive to keep his position protected from Sanagot. I think this man is now ready to heat up the fight. He is closing in now on sorry, the McLaren driver. And causing me a coughing fit. Thank you very much. He is getting himself ready to fight. He's now saying well within the 0.3 of a second range. He's piling up the pressure on the McLaren drive, trying to force him into a mistake. In the meanwhile, Kane is now only 1.7 seconds behind the Williams, getting ever closer still. He will not make a move on the main straight. He's still too far behind. And Domi feels the pressure. He knows he'll have to get past Wisp if he wants to keep the Williams away from his back. Now I think is the moment where the fights start heating up. Wisp is slowing down a little bit there, I feel like. Pushing Domi back into Sanagot's front wing. Now tactics are coming into play, and look at this. 1.4 seconds is definitely a slowdown there. From the top 3. Yes, I should hydrate, but I have an empty glass next to me and there's too many things happening to allow me to go and get a glass of water. For example, over here, Deekserve and Polypunk fighting Alexander Johansson for P8. Kane getting another 3-second time penalty. Deekserve just decides he makes the move before they go into the main, the back straight there on his better and stronger soft tires. He's in a much better position, of course, to take the position, but Alexander is definitely not giving up yet. He's like, no way you're taking away that position from me, and he's back into P8. I think he's also trying to help Polypunk out a little bit to allow him to get past the Alfa Romeo as well. Deeksurf being the only Alfa Romeo remaining on track, fighting for points. Fraser, in the meanwhile, is still completely intertwined with Kane for a battle for P11. It's no points there, but it's still an interesting battle to watch here. Back to the front, and look there, there's Kane, almost within DRS range now. This is going to be a four-way battle for the win. Donimak moving up to 6th as Big Turbina makes his final pit stop of the race onto a fresh set of softs. Let's see if he can close the gap back to the top 10. I'm afraid he will lose a top 10 position here as Fraser and Kane overtake him over there right now. Still having a bit of an itchy throat thanks to COVID. Got a lot of viruses. Kane is almost there. You can pretty much count him in for the fight now. He still doesn't have any DRS, so they'll get a bit away from him now. His battery, though, is pretty low, so he doesn't have a lot to fight with when he reaches them. And of course, the question is, are his tires still fresh enough? They are younger, yes, but I think he's had to push hard to catch up to this group. 8 laps remain. The top 3 remains the same, on track at least, as Wisp's got himself a penalty. And if it stays like this, he will fall down all the way to P4. And he will not make it 3 wins in a row. His fuel icon is flashing yellow, which also means his car is currently underfueled, which is another problem to add to his woes. It's not looking good for Wisp, as ahead of him we see Aro and Luda fighting for last place. Always interesting to see. They are about to get lapped. And since ghosting is off, they will have to break off their fighting when this group approaches them. They're still about 6 or 7 seconds ahead. No, it's like 5 seconds actually. So there's still a bit of distance in between them and the lead group. They're still on the same lap for now. If a safety car comes out now, they can catch back up, otherwise it's game over. But still, no safety car yet, as this is Reap. He heads in for his final pit stop of the race. But he's not fighting for any positions. He's far behind points, in fact, at the moment. Here we go again, then. You can see them way ahead in the field. The guy is in last place, fighting for position. Luda and Aro. Since these guys are just patiently waiting. Look at this! It's a touch there! We've caught a collision between the last 2 drivers. These guys are so into their battling that I'm not even sure they can see the lead group approaching. Aro and Luda, fighting for P14, are having a nasty battle between them two. And Aro's already had a nasty battle, and it didn't turn out well for him. So I think he's backing off at least for now. It's a really epic fight for not last place, yes. It's currently more exciting than what's happening in the front, with these drivers just enjoying each other's rear of the car and their gearbox especially. I'd like to see some action for the lead, please. This is a repeat of last night. Seven laps remaining. And it's still everybody's game to play for, well, except for Wisps at the moment. Unless, of course, Domi, Sanagod and Kane will get a penalty soon. Unfortunately, we've lost the gaps. That's a bit of a shame. Can't see if Kane is within DRS range or not. I think he isn't. No, he's definitely not. He's struggling to keep up with the lead group. He's staying with them, but he's not able to close the DRS range. If he's within the DRS range, then it's going to be fine. But right now, he's not capable of doing so. In the meanwhile, the other Mercedes, who's nearly lost control of his car and an empty battery there as well, is having to defend from Deeksurf, who's right behind him and now beside him and now ahead of him into P6. There goes the Alfa Romeo, the only remaining Alfa Romeo, fighting for the points. As many points as he possibly can. And he's now back into 6th place and trying to close the gap to Psycho, who isn't too far up the road either. And he's currently driving a pretty lonely race, but how long will that last? Since Deserve is coming for him. The lead group then pretty much has caught up to Aro. There he is, the lonely Haas in the back of the field, about to be caught by the 3 men fighting for the race win. And Kane is no longer able to keep up with the group. His gap has increased now again to almost 2 seconds. He cannot do it. His battery is dry. I think he's pushed his tires too hard to get to the group. And it looks like a race win is starting to fall out of his grasp. He's tried valiantly. That's a difficult word for me to pronounce for some reason. But it's not happening. Aro now is starting to hold up the lead group. He's therefore moving out of the way of the entire top 3. Is he though? Yes, he is. Oh, I think he didn't realize. That Sanagold was there as well. So he tried to go at the inside of him, and now he's forced to let Kane past as well. There he goes. Aro now far behind Luda, trying to get a bit of slipstream there. Kane will not have a free DRS. Kane is no longer able. Yeah, that's correct, right? But thank you for the commentator of the year quote, if that's what you were trying to say with Quaid. There's not many laps left to win the race. And I think Domi is taking it easy because he knows he's already winning the race if he stays like this and gets no penalties. Sandegard knows he'll get P2 if it stays like this. But I feel like this man has got an attack coming up soon. His battery is slightly more charged. It's not much, but it is more than Domi for sure. It's also more than Wisp. And all Sandegard needs to do is overtake Domi. But he needs to stay with him though. He's starting to lose connection there. He's struggling to stay within DRS range. Now he's catching up a little bit, but he didn't have a great first sector there, costing him quite a bit of valuable time. A time that he doesn't really have that much of left anymore. Let's have a look at all the penalties, because I see a lot of penalties racking up. Deary me, that's a lot of penalties, especially for Aro. 12 seconds, it's definitely not his day tonight. No points for Haas, I'm afraid. Very few laps remain. We still haven't seen a safety car. Might have just jinxed it, you never really know. Domi has now lost DRS. Ooh, oh dear. Wisp is pulling away now. He's showing his pace. No DRS for Domi. That leaves him very vulnerable to the attack of Sanagold. And I think the Williams driver will realize this. Will he have a go? No, he's quite far behind, I'm afraid. It's almost a second there. He is using his battery to stay with him, but it's not nearly enough to get too close to the McLaren. And Domi is starting to struggle. The McLaren is starting to struggle to keep up with Wisp. Wisp is now starting to put the pedal down with all the little fuel that he has remaining. I wonder if he'll make it to the end of the race, as the icon is still flashing yellow. He must have been fuel saving, yes, but it's still not enough. It's not enough, and I'm sure that Kane is trying to stay within that 3-second range, but he's still losing time to all 3 cars ahead of him. Oh dear, Deeksurf is out of the session. That means his AI decides to let Domi past. That's not good for him. He was in P6 quite comfortably. Still fighting though, but still. He was higher up there. Let's hope he can join back very soon. Domi back in DRS range. He wants to keep Sanagold behind. Very few laps remain. If there will be an attack, it has to come really soon. After this lap, there's only 3 of them remaining, as the lead group is slowly approaching Luda. And Alexander is overtaking his teammate for P8. And Fraser still in a battle with Kane has finally overtaken the Ferrari once again for P10, and that rewards him a penalty because he went off the track a little bit too much there. That's unfortunate for him. Cane's got a penalty as well, though. Let's see. 11 seconds of penalty, so there's not much to worry about for him, even though he's got 6 seconds of them. Only 4 drivers remain without any penalties, and once again the gaps are messed up. For some reason the game really likes to mess things up for me tonight. So I can't see whether or not Domi is within the DRS range, but judging from the sky, I think he still is. I think he is. Yeah, it should just be fine. Aro slowing down to a crawl, heading off the track to get some drivers past him. I think he's really just done with this race, and now he's about to, he's letting past another group of 3 drivers there. 2.5 laps remaining. If Sanago wants to win the race, he'll have to do something soon. And the battery of Domi is dead, and Sanago sees that. That might potentially be an opportunity for him. Look at that, he's really closed it up now. He's once again piling up the pressure onto the McLaren driver now, warning him that he has to watch out if he wishes to keep his potential race win. Kane has completely lost connection to the group. His tires are done for. Despite them being younger, he's pushing them over the edge, chasing this group down, and now he's paying the consequences. Two laps remaining. It is still... Oh no! No, Sanagold! He's got the 3 seconds. And that means that currently Domi will win the race. Unless, of course, he somehow gets a penalty as well. This is not what the Williams driver wanted. He wanted to overtake the McLaren. But then comes the penalties. Those nasty, nasty track limits they are. And Domi is now going to go for it. He's closing and closing to Wisp. Sanagot is closing up as well. Wisp still is under fuel with 2 laps remaining. I'm starting to fear this. I'm starting to fear for him. Will he have enough fuel to finish the race? He's slowing once again to save some extra fuel. You can see the time between himself and the McLaren car dropping in the corners, lifting as he's trying to get just enough fuel to finish the race with. But Sanagot is now having to race for his life if he still wants to somehow win this. He needs to get past Wisp, to get into P2, and there he goes. And this is the attack that we've been waiting for between these 3 cars. They're pushing each other. They're a little bit wide there. Sanagot goes thanks to the defending of Domi there, but he is now ahead. Now he's going to push for it there. Here he goes. The fight has started in the final 1.5 lap of the race. It is Sanagot then in second place. He needs to get past Wisp and then need to create a big gap between himself and Domi if he still wants to have a little shot at winning. Maybe he's forcing Domi into some extra warnings and potentially a penalty there. But it is Sanagot piling on the pressure to Wisp that will currently mean P2 after the race finishes. Domi can just sit back and relax and make sure his car stays within the lines to win the race. But it is Sanagot fighting for second place with Wisp at the moment. He's gonna have a go into turn 1 and Wisp defending around the outside and so far succeeding. But it looks like it is just side by side here. Wisp having to back out a little bit for now. Wisp still leading the race technically. Domi just having a fancy look there. You guys go fight it out. I don't mind. You just go ahead. I'll just wait here. That's how he thinks right now potentially. Sanagot is having a look every single place he can. He needs to stay closer than this, otherwise it will not happen. Wisp getting another 3-second penalty. That means Sanagot can breathe. Just like me. Breathe. 6 seconds of time penalties then for Wisp, and that's not going to be a 3rd win in a row. Sanagot though still very willing to go for the attack, showing that he's still capable of attacking properly if he wants to. Yellow flag in sector 2 as Wisp has run out of fuel. He's run out of fuel in the final part of the race. It's done, it's over. 6 seconds of penalties, leading the race for 27 out of 28 laps. And it is over. It's done. His car is limping home. And that means the race winner will not be Sanogoat, but it will be Domi, as Kane goes exceptionally wide in the background, but no penalty for him there. That means, yes, Domi wins the race. Sanogoat comes home P2, and Kane finishes third. Wisp limping home into fourth place. What an absolute disaster for the Red Bull, and what a finish. There he is, bitterly disappointed with this race tonight. Too little fuel in the car, not able to save enough, and he lost the speed in the third sector of the last lap. What drama at the end. And my game just crashed. Okay, oh, that's a problem. I cannot see the final results now. Oh dear. I hope somebody else will be able to do that. And that's a black screen. Well, that's the game. I'm not going to restart because it will not work. But the game has crashed. That's what happened. So please enjoy a nice little background scene. Anyway, it was a fascinating race. I wanted to repeat the results here for you, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But it is a fact that Domi has won the race, and he's currently already waiting in the interview waiting room. He'll probably be very ecstatic. Let's see if that is true. He's here with us now. Domi, good evening to you. You must be ecstatic.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm tired. That is a horrifying. I had 2 warnings since lap 4, so I had to be really careful.
You've won the race. Things unfolded dramatically in the last lap. You saw Wisp slowing down to a crawl all of a sudden. Speaking of which, how was your fuel doing?
I had 0.77 or something like that. I mean, I knew Kota is like really fuel heavy track because I remember we did a 100% race on the weekend of the Kota race.
I remember that as well, yes.
Half of the field ran out of fuel. I was like, okay, I need a little bit of fuel. so it was a really interesting race. I was just honestly trying to keep up with this because that man has like serious pace. Like I think if he hadn't had problems with fuel, he would have like won the race or maybe like got P2. So I don't know. He did a really good job. But yeah, it was a good race all in all. I really enjoyed it. I was shaking on the last lap, so I don't want to get a warning,
I can totally imagine that. From our point of view, it looked like both you and Sanogoat were sandbagging a little bit and not struggling that hard to keep up with Wisp. But you just said that Wisp had some strong pace. So does that mean you were trying hard to keep up, or was it not that difficult?
Well, there were some laps where I think he was really close to dropping me. But then I think he started to struggle with tires, and I saw that Yaya was struggling on tires as well a little bit, and I was just trying to save up ERS honestly when I could. But at the last couple of laps, I had to push my ERS constantly because it was almost getting out of DRS, and if he gets out of DRS, I couldn't keep up with him anymore, and would have got me. Yaya would have got me, and he didn't have penalties until like the last 2 laps. So, but when he got to penalty, I was like, okay. I'm just gonna sit back. You can overtake me. You can fight. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it was quite epic to see you 3 guys fighting it out for the win. Kane came pretty close to it as well, but he wasn't able to do the job in the end with his tires. But that's a victory for you and some nice points for the driver standings. Let me, in fact, quickly show those standings on the stream. You're currently sitting only P14, but this will definitely bring you a lot closer to the top. Next week is Monaco. What do you think of that track?
Well, probably not gonna see me around the top 10 even, I think, because it's not my strongest shot. Let's put it that way. So we will see. I mean, I'm gonna try, but we will see.
All right. Well, enjoy your well-deserved victory tonight, and we'll see you next week in Monaco.
Yeah, thank you for the commentary, and I just
You're
want
very
to give
welcome.
a shout out to my engineer, Patty. He did a really good job engineering us with cycles, so thank you very much.
Awesome, nice. Okay, cheers, man.
Cheers.
The man coming home in second place, it is our man Yaya Sanogoat. Let me see if I can. I've unmuted you there already. Yeah, if you can hear us. We are now ready for the interview with you, my man. The man who came home a second after, well, basically just sitting behind the other cars for most of the race. But I think he's AFK at the moment. As I, yeah, there we go.
Oh.
There you go. Hi there.
I'm
Welcome
here.
to the
Hi.
commentary booth.
Hello.
First and foremost, congratulations on your second place. You were hanging back quite relaxed from our point of view in P3 for like 95% of the race. And then at the end, you suddenly decided to strike as soon as you got the penalty. So take us through those final few laps.
Well, I was just sitting behind Wisp and Domi pretty much. I saw Domi's red light blinking. I didn't really want to attack. I had quite a few errors, about 40%. And then, well, when I decided to attack where it was too late, I got a penalty. It's unfortunate because I would have won if it wasn't for it, but P2 again after Imola, also being P2. Nice to have 2 podiums in a row.
Yeah, it's looking good for you in the driver's standings as well. Back to the fight with Wisp a little bit. As soon as you had the penalty, you went very aggressive on the attack and you tried to overtake the wall and you succeeded. And then you saw Wisp falling away after getting another 3-second penalty. His fuel had run out. How was your fuel situation that race?
Yeah, so by the end I had about 0.6. It wasn't...
That's not too bad.
Run out. It was good. Yeah, I got the message actually from on the last lap. I got the message. The car in front is running out of fuel, is low on fuel, and then I just decided to attack as soon as I could. Maybe I shouldn't have done it in the first turn, but I managed to get it done. Then I hoped that Wisp would slow down me so much that I can actually get the 3-second gap, but it didn't really happen.
Yeah, it wasn't to be tonight. But maybe next week in Monaco. What do you think? Will it happen there?
Well, I play on a controller, so no. Just
Okay.
I'm probably gonna be like 15th.
Okay. So you'll just have to sit that one somewhere, well, as you said, in 15. But hopefully, maybe you'll be lucky and get some extra positions there. Either way, you'll be climbing a little bit in the driver's standing, so good on you. Enjoy your second place, and let's see if you can be with us next week in Monaco.
Okay, bye. Thank
Cheers.
you for the interview.
The man who came home third, from the top of my head, that was Kane, I believe, is not waiting for an interview, unfortunately. So that will be it for tonight. Concluding this race then with the first car of the season to run out of fuel as far as I know. Very unfortunate for Wisp as he was having a strong race, but then the penalties came, and as if that wasn't bad enough, the fuel ran out. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed the race. That's the first race I've seen without a safety car, only one virtual safety car on lap 1. Some unfortunate souls not being able to finish the race. No points for Aston Martin tonight, for example, which will hurt their constructors' aspirations for sure. And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it once again tonight. You will hear from me next week, Monday, for Tier 3 in Monaco. It's gonna be a blast, I'm quite sure of that. Tomorrow, same time, same place for Tier 1 with the fastest drivers in the Misfits Racing League. Once again, thank you for watching. Have a great morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.